The first 3 days of my Mormon mission, once I actually got to Norway, were three of the toughest of my life. And I thought I would do a video about that. Velkommen tillbaka, tack för sist. Thank you for being here. You know, for those of you who aren't familiar, when you go on a Mormon mission, I don't know exactly how it is now because I've been out of the church for decades. But back then, if you were serving a foreign mission where you had to learn another language, you would spend 2 months in what's called the MTC, the Missionary Training Center. Those 2 months were actually not too bad. It's very regimented. It's almost like being in the military. I haven't been in the military, so I'm not comparing myself to that. Don't get me wrong. You guys are badasses. I did get drafted into the Norwegian military while I was there. That's another story. But it's very regimented. You have to get up at 6 a.m. every morning. You have to go to bed at 9 o'clock. And the whole day, you go to breakfast, you have lunch, you have dinner, but the whole day is spent in lessons. In the evenings, you had some free time, but you were basically expected to study scriptures and stuff like that. So that 2 months actually wasn't bad. I made some good friends there. We actually had some fun. It wasn't all just like nose to the grindstone, never being able to do anything. We actually did have some fun. And maybe I'll talk about that in a different video, because in this video, I want to talk about actually getting to country. And the reason I'm telling this story is because I was going to do this video yesterday, but I was traveling. Yesterday was 42 years since, that's not right, 43 years since I flew to Norway, from Salt Lake City to Norway. So I'd finished my 2 months. I'm sorry it's windy. I hope this doesn't drown me out. But I'm back home and I wanted to sit in my own yard, even though it's kind of chilly out here. It's been raining, which is awesome. We need rain bad. So 43 years ago yesterday was when I headed to Norway. So we flew to Oslo, just do an Osk. Oslo is how Norwegians say Oslo. And we went straight to the mission home, which was kind of the headquarters for the whole mission. Norway is a really big mission, even though there weren't that many missionaries. I think we were usually under 100 missionaries in the whole country. And back then it was only 4 million people, but it was huge because Norway is so long that you could be a long ways from your mission home. In fact, when I was up in northern Norway, I had a friend serving in Rome, Italy, and he was closer to my mission home than I was. That's how big Norway is, how long it is. So yeah, we go straight to the mission home. So to kind of set this story up, why this was such a tough time for me, when I was in the MTC, Missionary Training Center, one of my teachers, really cool dude who I'm actually in touch with a little bit now, him and his wife just served what's called a senior Mormon mission, a couples mission. They went back to Norway again, where he had served in, I think, 80 to 82 or 79 to 81, something like that. And he was my teacher then. He was only a couple of years older than me. He was probably 22 or 23 when I was 19. But I really liked him. Cool dude, very friendly, very engaging, had a cool way of teaching. And, you know, we talked all about Norway. Now, I was from Norway, so I had already been there. I had lived there. I knew a fair bit about it, but I had been limited basically to my hometown of Stavanger and where my grandparents were, which was Hjelmeland on my mom's side. So we learned about all the different parts of Norway. And I remember distinctly how he told us, as long as you don't go to this town, you'll be okay. Everywhere else is amazing. And the town was Porsgrunn. It's actually a twin city, Porsgrunn and Skien. Skien, Porsgrunn, two separate towns, even though they're kind of together. So for whatever reason, he had a really bad experience there. When you get to the mission home, our mission president was pretty old. He was had served in the Norwegian military during the Nazi occupation of Norway. So he was very bitter towards Germans. Can't blame him, you know. He had been captured and tortured by the Nazis, and he actually served in the underground of the Norwegian military, which was very important in the defeating the Nazis. But he was kind of a bitter dude. He was quite old. He wasn't very nice or pleasant. I ended up growing to not like him very much. But when I first met him, I was like, I don't know the guy. Let's give him a chance. But they take you in some room, take a picture with you in front of this map of Norway and all the little towns. And your pictures, every missionary's picture is under one of those towns. And I looked up and I saw my picture and some dude I didn't know under Porsgrunn. So immediately I was like, no, that's the one city he said I didn't want to go to. So I was pretty down right off the bat. That was within probably the first hour of getting there. So I was already feeling pretty down about where I was going to serve for the first, anywhere from 2 to 5, 6 months. By the way, if any of you are from Porsgrunn, I love Porsgrunn. It's a beautiful city. It's not the point of this video. It's the impression as a young 19-year-old dude that I got about it before I got there. So that set me off on the wrong track right away. I think I was only at the mission home in Oslo for one night. Might have been 2, but I think it was one night. And then I took a train over to Porsgrunn, which isn't real far from Oslo. I want to say it's, I don't know, maybe an hour or 2 hours by train. I could be off a little bit on that, but it wasn't very far. I get to the train station in Porsgrunn, and my companion, the guy that I was going to serve with, is supposed to be there waiting for me. Well, it's raining, cold. This was in late April. Like I said, yesterday, April 25th, was 43 years to the day that I got there. It's cold, it's rainy. I've got 2 pretty big suitcases my whole life. I might have had a backpack too. I get out off the train and I can see the dude standing there. He's got the suit and tie with an overcoat on, and I could see his Elder Torgerson. In Norway, they called it Eldste, which is kind of weird because, well, elder means older. Eldste is kind of the same meaning. The oldest, old. I don't know why we use that or they use that. But I could see him standing there. And my first thought was, this guy doesn't look 19 or 20 years old. Well, it turned out he wasn't. I think he was 26 or 27, which is quite old. I mean, that's very abnormal. At least back then it was. Now I think you can serve at 18. But back then it was 19. Was the earliest you could go. But you could go later. I don't know if there's probably a cutoff date. I don't remember when. It's starting to rain. Let's see if I can get through this video. He's just standing there. It's raining. It's cold. Just this glum look on his face. I walk up and I'm like, Elder Torgerson? And he just looked at me and kind of nodded. Didn't say a word. I'm like, where are we headed? And he just kind of motioned to me. Didn't offer help with my bags. So I'm dragging 2 suitcases and a backpack. I mean, my whole life, everything I have is with me. Including my bedding and, it's just crazy. So I'm like, well, I guess we're gonna go get a cab or a bus or something. No, we walked. I don't remember how many blocks, but it was several blocks in the rain and cold, dragging all this stuff with me. No help from him. Oh, I grew to dislike this guy so badly. We did eventually kind of have a reckoning because I blew up on him and I kind of threatened him because I was so tired of his act. And we got along okay for the last month or so, but we just never clicked. He was a very antisocial dude. And I'm a very social, outgoing guy. All of a sudden I'm thrown into this. I came from the MTC where we had a pretty big group of us, like 8 of us that all hung out and kind of did classes together and had lunch and dinner and breakfast together. And we always talked, BSing all the time. All of a sudden I'm thrown into this. I'm in this gloomy town. The town I was told is the only town in Norway you don't want to go to. It's miserable. The people are miserable. By the way, like I said, none of that is true. Porsgrunn's a beautiful city. When we go back this summer, I doubt I'll get back there, but I'm going to try. We get to our apartment. We had no bathroom. I mean, shower, forget about it. We had no bathroom. It was this little kind of flat above, I want to say it was a bakery or a coffee shop or something like that. And the only bathroom was downstairs in the hallway outside this bakery. And it was just a little closet, basically, a water closet, they call them, with a toilet and a little sink, like a little sink. That was it. To shower, we had to go down to the public swimming pool and use the showers there, which we only did a couple of times a week. I'm a clean freak. I shower every day, sometimes twice a day. That was a big adjustment. And then when you shower there, it was all these old men stark naked. And it's like, wow, is this an adjustment? This is horrible. The apartment was a crap hole. Just this tiny little dump of an apartment. Our beds were just kind of across, the little single beds, kind of across the room from each other. I've told this before that I cried myself to sleep for weeks. It was the most miserable time of my life. The only time that even comes close, and it was actually worse, was going through my divorce with my daughter and all that. I've told that story. So it was a very stark, boom, you're in Norway, which I was so excited about. I'm going back to my home country. I'm so excited for all of this. And instead of it being this cool experience, the first, I don't know, we were in Porsgrunn for probably 3 months, I think it was. And then I'm finally getting transferred. So you do transfers and you move to different towns. Usually when you transfer companions too. Well, they transferred us together, which blew my mind. I'm like, I don't like this guy. I don't want to be with this guy. And I'm with him 24 hours a day. Your only privacy was in the bathroom. That was it. And just imagine spending that much time with somebody you don't like. And, he might be a really nice dude now. I haven't heard or seen him since then. We served together in one more town up in North Norway for another 3 months. So I was with him for 6 months, that doesn't happen. That's, at least back then, usually it was 3 to 4 months, and then you would switch companions, switch cities. So it was a real thrown into the deep end kind of thing. And it was very, very hard on me. I've said this before, and I know I have a friend that watches these videos. He said he would have paid for me to fly home. If I could have found a way to get home, I would have. But I've mentioned this too, that the church flies you to where you're going. They take care of the travel part, but you pay for the mission. It's not like you're out there getting coddled. My parents, I paid for a little bit of it with money I'd saved, and then they paid. They sent me a check every month, which I know was tough on them. So I didn't have the money to fly home. There's no way in hell I was going to ask my parents for it. The main reason I went is because I wanted to make them proud and happy. And I thought this would devastate them. I came to their homeland, my homeland, and now I'm saying I don't want to be Mormon. I want to fly home. It just wasn't worth it. It was better to put up with the misery and the depression and the awful. I had never felt like this in my life. I had a beautiful upbringing. I had a great childhood, great family, great friends, great parents. I just couldn't ask for better. I hear people talk about their horrible childhoods. I had a blessed, amazing childhood. And I went to college for a year with one of my best friends before I went on a mission. I had this really good life. Like, not privileged. We were nowhere near rich. My parents were not rich. We were probably lower middle class, but we had a nice house by the standards of back then. And we went on a vacation every summer. We had fantastic Christmases. My mom can stretch $1 like nobody's business. She still does. She's freaking amazing. She's 84. My dad's 83. He'll turn 84 this year. They're still vibrant and active, and they're just amazing parents. So I just could not do that to them, just out of respect for them. So I stuck it out. But those first 3 days were probably the worst days of my life. It's hard to even put into words because I can feel the emotions as I'm talking about this. It is raining now. You probably can't see it because it's drizzle, but it's coming down now. And I was just about to mow the lawn. So yeah, that was a tough one. But it did teach me a lot of resilience. That whole mission experience taught me resilience, and that if I can deal with this, I can deal with most things. Now, I know there are people in the world that deal with much worse. I mean, horrible things happening all over the world. I get it. I'm not comparing myself to that. I can only compare my life to my life. But if you've gone through tough times, whether it's a divorce or losing somebody you love or a miserable experience like I'm talking about, it does teach you resilience. And when I got home, I used to be so scared to like ask girls out before my mission. I went on lots of dates, but it took everything I had to ask a girl out. I was such an outgoing dude, but so timid when it came to that. And a couple of the girlfriends I had before my mission told me later, it's like, well, why didn't you ask me out sooner? And I was like, I don't know, just figured I wasn't in your class and you'd tell me no. Now it's coming down. So we're gonna have to end this here because I'm gonna get soaked here. So yeah, if you've been through that, you understand that it teaches you something. You get some resilience out of life, and in life, you can deal with most things. And I've lived a pretty blessed life. I work hard for my life. I'm on the road a lot, but retirement I can see it at the end of the tunnel, God willing, which, by the way, I still believe in. I get a lot of you saying, I've had a couple people just flat out say, you need to come back to the church. That ain't happening. I appreciate your sentiment, and I'm glad you enjoy it. It's not for me. We are much happier since we left the church. I know some of you think it's a cult. Fair enough, you get to have your opinion. I get where you're coming from when it comes to that, but anyway, I just thought I would share that experience. It was a very formative time in my life as a 19-year-old kid. And even though it was a tough, horrible time to go through, I'm glad I did. It made me tougher, made me stronger. And it made it so I could, like when I went through my divorce, I had already had some experience with just deep depression and misery, which probably helped me get through that. And I did a video on that a couple of months ago around the fire. It's dark if you want to look that up. I think it's called like the hardest video I've ever made or something like that. But thank you again for watching, for subscribing. I really do appreciate it. I dig the comments. I read all the comments. Most of them, almost all of them, are positive, very complimentary, very nice, very respectful, and I appreciate it. But I appreciate even the negative ones. Bring it on. I can take it. I still hope you have a great day. Even if you don't like me and you think I'm some sort of weirdo, or that's okay. You know, that's the nice thing in this country. You get to say what you want to say, and you get to believe what you want to believe. Just don't hurt anybody. Try to be nice to people. You don't know what they're going through. Have a beautiful Sunday. If you're watching this on Sunday, I'll try to get this uploaded today. Sunday the 26th, I believe. I just got home last night from the road. It's good to be home. And I will see you all soon. Tack för denna gång. Vi snackas igen snart. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Peace. Love.